What's up everybody, I am Cody Broadway, wanting to give you a tutorial. Did an introduction before, now I want to get into shooting. I want to break this down into 3 or 4 segments. The first one I want to cover is shooting. Either you're shooting with a cell phone for your Instagram stories or you're shooting with a DSLR, which I prefer shooting with the DSLR, but for a lot of the moments, everyday life, it's easier just to pull out the cell phone. It still shoots 4K, still shoots a beautiful image. The next video will be over the editing process, how I bring everything in and kind of form and start the meat of things. But right now you have to have the footage before you can even start editing. So let's go ahead and break that down. What I like to do is plan ahead. What am I going to do? What do I want to accomplish? Is it going out shooting scenery? Is it going out everyday life? If it's going out to do everyday life, which a lot of my videos are, I just like to use my cell phone. Mainly because it's so much easier just to take the phone and shoot. Whenever shooting, I shoot everything, of course, vertically. I was raised to shoot everything 16 by 9, but whenever you're doing an Instagram video, it has to be 9 by 16. So I just use the camera on the phone. So one of my secrets is I shoot everything in slow motion. Just because slow motion gives it that extra detail, the detail that you may miss just shooting 24 frames, 30 frames, or even 60 frames. So shoot everything at 120 frames. In the phone, playing back, it will play slow motion. But when you bring it into your computer, that 120 frames is going to play out normally. You're going to see a little more detail, but for the most part, it's not going to be slowed down. You have to do that yourself in post. I like to shoot everything with 2 points of contact. So here's one point right there, okay? And then here's your second. And that right there is going to give you a little more stability than doing something like this. Yeah, over the years, I've gotten pretty good, pretty smooth at shooting something like this, but for the most part, I like to really gauge in and shoot like this. Some people, when they shoot, they look at people in the eyes and they'll shoot like this. I like to look straight through into the camera at the person or at the object that I'm shooting at to make sure I do not miss it. So I'm shooting right here. One thing that I try to do in most of my shots, as you see, is have motion. Even if it's just a gentle motion back and forth, that right there is going to speak a lot when doing these videos. Because it's 15 seconds, I don't like to have a stagnant shot that could be a photo or anything like that. I want to have some kind of movement to keep the pace going. So, when shooting, right here, I have my 2 points of contact, 1, 2, and I'm just swaying back and forth, something so gentle. Whenever shooting slow motion, that gentle is gonna come out almost as a still image. So the good thing about slow motion is that you can use it as a stabilizer. So if I'm shooting something like this, and I slow it down, that's the only thing I need is 2 to 3 solid seconds of me moving back and forth, and I can adjust that to any speed that I want without it looking funny. So we got 2 points of contact, swaying back and forth. One thing that I make sure I do is shoot the detail. If I'm shooting coffee, if I'm shooting walking, I want to show the feet. I want to show the water being poured into the pot. Things like that, that's going to make your video a lot different than the rest. And I said that all in video 1, you can go back and watch it. I won't go into too much detail. So the next thing that I like to do is shooting with the DSLR. And a lot of detail shots, this is what I use. I use a cinema lens. This is just a Canon 7D. You can get it, you can get it fairly cheap now, the body. The lens itself, $300 to $400, not too bad. This gives you a nice f-stop of 1.5. That will give you a lot of depth of field, that cinema look that a lot of people go for. So when shooting, a lot of people shoot like this, 2 points of contact. Sometimes I'll have the strap attached to the camera, and that gives me 3 points of contact, 1, 2, and 3. But for the most part, I try to do 2 or bring it in as close as I can to my body, and that will give me the 3 points of contact that I'm looking for with the DSLR. So instead of shooting like this, I turn everything vertically. And why? Because Instagram stories are 9 by 16, not 16 by 9. This is 9 by 16. This gives me the guidelines that I need when looking through the camera to make sure I'm not going to miss a certain shot. If I'm focused on someone walking, I can do this and then bring it into the post, scale it up, but a lot of the detail is not gonna show. It's gonna look real funny, and I'm still going to be out of frame here and there. But by shooting vertically, I'm able to track a person and show them in frame the whole entire time. I know whenever I get back and I start the editing, everything's going to be in frame. I don't have to worry about scaling or anything like that. Shooting, I shoot everything I had the grip on the right. I got my stability. I got my 2 points, and then I can bring it in for my third. But for the most part, I want to see what's going on. And a lot of the shots that I do are 2 to 3 seconds long. I don't really go longer than that. When shooting with the DSLR, my settings are 1080. I shoot 30 frames a second, even though I edit everything in 24, but 30 frames will give me that extra frame. Shooting with DSLR, shooting with cell phone, for Instagram videos or even Facebook stories, shoot everything vertically versus horizontally. That's 9:16. It's gonna give you the full screen effect that you're looking for whenever doing these stories. Again, I'm Cody Broadway. Thank you again for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe down low, hit the like button, and I'll see you next time.